They say performance has an expiration date, but what if they're wrong? No matter where you start, the goal's the same: to be better, stronger, wiser, bolder. We're here for the relentless, those that don't back down, don't compromise, and don't quit. This is training for Masters athletes by Masters athletes, with a community that holds you steady. So say goodbye to random workouts, because whether you're stepping into following a program for the first time or stepping onto the podium, your journey starts here.
All right, team, welcome to the Boulder Athlete Podcast. I'm Josh, and I am hanging out with Zach Gibbon today. Zach, I really appreciate you making time, man. This is each time we've bumped into each other, which has been in a competition, I've really enjoyed those little micro moments. Although we're competing against each other most of the time, you're such a good guy. And that was really clear the moment we met. And I've enjoyed getting to know you the little bit that we have. I'm especially excited just to have this conversation so we can get to hang and get to know each other even a little bit more and share more of your story with our audience.
Sure. Happy to do it. I'm glad to present my story and who I am. And I've become really close with a bunch of you guys on the Boulder team. And all you guys are really great.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you again. Let me give you a quick intro of just a couple of things. And I don't know all the things, but I know a few. You made it to the games this last year, competed there, which was awesome. And I know something that you were definitely working your tail off to accomplish. So major congrats on getting there and putting up a great performance. You're a 4-time champ of Fittest of the Coast, which is a competition that's happening right now, the qualifier. And that goes on in your backyard in South Carolina in Charleston. That's a really awesome competition. We definitely need to talk about that. That's where we met, actually. You've done the Legends qualifier. You've done the MFC qualifier. You finished like at the top of the leaderboard or very near the top on all of those qualifiers. I'm sure you've done some of those competitions in the past as well. Would love to dig into that. I've not done any of those. MFC going on as we speak. And you're a gym owner. Mount Pleasant CrossFit, I think it is. And so that's cool. And you're just a prominent figure in the CrossFit space. So I'm really grateful for your time, and I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Yeah, me too. The gym that I own, CrossFit Mount Pleasant, it actually has a dual name. It's actually Mount Pleasant Fitness Company is like our main title name. And then our affiliate is CrossFit Mount Pleasant.
Oh, okay. That would explain the email address.
Yep.
Got it. Well, let's start there while we're on it. Like, when did you start that gym and how did it become what it is today? And like, what was the inspiration for getting that thing going?
Yeah, it's actually it's a cool story. We had some kind of ebbs and flows with the opening of the gym. Little backstory on me, how I got to where I am now with Mount Pleasant was originally from New Jersey. I opened my first gym in 2010 in New Jersey. I had a big box gym, all the cardio equipment, free weights, machines, all that jazz. It was kind of before CrossFit was really mainstream back then. So I was doing more like functional training styles, personal training there. And we started a class there and it was called functional training. And I really wasn't into CrossFit. I had no idea what it was yet at 2010, 2011. And as I pursued more functional training style workouts, the classes I had kind of steered me towards this whole CrossFit thing. And then I took my L1 back in 2012, 2013. And then I opened a separate gym, a CrossFit gym within the same mall complex that my other gym was in. So I was owning 2 gyms. One was a CrossFit gym, one was a big box gym. And then my love for CrossFit just kind of totally steered me away from my original big box gym. And I was all in, man. CrossFit was my life from there on out. And then 2020, Sarah, my partner in life and partner in the gym, moved down to Charleston, South Carolina. And I sold both my gyms in New Jersey, and we transplanted because of COVID, because all the gyms, everything was closed, as you probably know, and it made it almost impossible to run our gyms. Up in the Northeast, it was you were not going to run a gym.
Total shutdown.
Yeah, total shutdown. We actually got fined multiple times for trying to run classes outside with like the whole social distancing thing going on. The town was like, nope. That's it. So we got slapped with multi-$1,000 fines for putting people at risk. Knowing what we know now, it's kind of ridiculous.
Makes you really popular in the community as well.
Exactly. You're the bad guy.
Yeah. Oh man, there was no division at that time at all.
Absolutely not.
Yikes.
And So Sarah and I made the executive decision in 2020. We're like, we're out of here. So we moved down to Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. Sarah was stationed in the Air Force here up in North Charleston. So she was ultra familiar with the area. I had no idea anything about Charleston or Mount Pleasant. So I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. I don't even care at this point. I had it with COVID.
Yeah.
We need to do something. So we
But you
moved down
still had
here.
your gym. You still had your CrossFit gym, which was in, had you like shut down the other gym or you were just focused more on one or the other?
So both gyms in 2020 had been like mandatory shut down by the state and the town and the government. So we couldn't even run. We were trying to do remote classes. Like I was doing Zoom and all that whole deal where I'd like wake up in the morning, we'd offer 2 or 3 classes online. I would do my remote thing and they would follow along, join in on Zoom. We did like the dumbbell only classes, body weight stuff. So people could do their thing. We loaned out all of our equipment for free. People could just take it
Mm.
with the agreement, like, hey, when COVID ends, you guys can bring the equipment back in one piece, hopefully. But it worked for a little while. And then everybody just kind of tail off because it was like 8, 9, 10 months, a year went by before I could even think about reopening the gym. So we had to pull the trigger. We're like, hey, this isn't working. So that's
Mm.
when Sarah and I moved down here. And then we took ownership of CrossFit Park West, which is a gym in Mount Pleasant. Ran that for like 2 years. And then we rebranded to CrossFit Mount Pleasant, moved locations into the location that we're at now, which we've been in for 2 years. And that's where we are now, CrossFit Mount Pleasant, MP Fitco, Mount Pleasant Fitness Company.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. That's quite a journey and quite a story. So you had a community in New Jersey, the community essentially you kind of, forced out of to a certain degree
Mhm.
by COVID. And then you've got to go, you kind of adopt then a little bit of a community. If the gym's already up and running, there's clearly some members there. And so you get to infuse yourself and earn their trust.
Mhm.
And then I'm sure you attracted a whole bunch of your own and it's grown. I would imagine quite a bit since. How many members do you have?
We have close to 200 members at our gym now.
Yeah, it's a great community. We first met, so now we're shifting a little bit to FOTC, which Fittest of the Coast is this great competition that goes on in South Carolina. I had not heard of it before. I don't do a lot of competitions. Historically, I've done very few. Fittest of the Coast was actually, I mean, aside from the games, Fittest of the Coast was my first like big competition. And I was drawn out there by, a bunch of buddies.
Mhm.
And they had hyped it up and said it was this great thing. And then we get out there and it's like, oh no, this is essentially Zach's competition. I'm like, what? Who's Zach? What does that even mean? I'm like, oh, the guy that's mopping the floor with everybody. Yeah, that's Zach. But it's in your backyard. And so obviously, it's a big deal for everybody in your area and your community. And that was really cool to see how much support you had there. And obviously you performed very well, took first place. And that was your 4th consecutive championship, I think.
I have 5 championships, and then that was 4 in a row. I took 1 year off because I tore my ACL.
Oh, okay. So you've won it 5 times total,
Yeah.
just only 4 consecutive.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's super
The
cool.
early one was before they were big and mainstream. It was when they were in a local gym here putting on the competition. It was still called Fittest of the Coast, but it wasn't what you saw in the Coliseum with the big stage. It was a more localized competition in a gym.
That was it was such a couple things. One, it was like, as I said, it was the first big competition I had done outside of the game. So I had that experience, and which I obviously thought was really cool. That was my first time at the games. But Fittest of the Coast was it had a whole vibe. And the thing that really stood out to me, aside from it being incredibly well run, was the level of polish and like the huge digital leaderboards and like just the juice and energy and visual
Sure.
appeal that it provided. Even the color scheme was just incredibly energetic. And I was really impressed because one, I didn't know what to expect having never done it before, but it felt like world class. I was really, really impressed by the way it was conducted. Is that how it has been? Or was that like new given your experience?
Yeah, over the course of the years, they've really spent a lot of time on the presentation of the competition and really making you feel like you're on a grand stage. I know they're been spending a lot of time on the presentation of the competition and making it feel like a grand stage for people. They've grown to so many divisions over the course of the years. It wasn't always like this, but now I feel like they have a division for everyone, and they really do a good job of splitting the floor in half and having like half of the competition going on one side, half of it going on the other side. And it's been really great. The programming has been definitely evolving over the years. And I know they're spending a little bit more time now on that, which is great, which I appreciate. I'm a big programming guy. So it's been really great. And what they've presented last year is kind of, I think it's they're stepping towards like a bigger, grander presentation, even than what you saw last year.
Yeah, kind of. You and I were talking a little bit before we kicked off. Kyle, I'm blanking on his last name, but the founder of Fittest of the Coast, he was on a podcast with Jason and Rick Stevens sharing, the history of Fittest of the Coast and how it had grown and where it began. It was a really interesting story. For those that are interested, I would highly suggest checking that one out, Masters in Motion. Yeah, but it was just, I was, again, super impressed by the level of polish that it had on it. And, now having experienced the games this last year, just this past summer, I would still say that Fittest of the Coast had a totally different vibe to it, and in some ways felt even more polished than the games. Now the games was well run, it was well conducted, like it was great. But the environments were different. I would say the energy and the vibe was also different. And yeah, Fittest of the Coast stands out in my mind as a really great one and one I would love to do again.
I think the vibe is so great there because they include so many different athletes that everybody brings their community there. And I know there's like hordes of people that all travel together there and they're all rooting for everyone. Like when you're performing, it's like a mob on the side of you. And it's great. It's hype.
Yeah. And I think they had, now I'm maybe mixing my competitions. They either had like stands where
Mhm.
spectators could sit in the stands, creating, really cool energy. So correct me if that's wrong, but I thought
No,
I
you're
heard
right.
Kyle say that this year he's adding even more stands. And so I don't know if you'll be surrounded or exactly what that's going to look like, but you can guarantee it's going to bring some more energy to it.
Yeah, you're right. They had stands on kind of both sides and there was standing
Okay.
room in between the stands. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was super cool. So speaking of Fittest,
Also, they also give you the option to do like individual and team in the same weekend, which I'm
that's
actually doing this year. I haven't done it in the past, but this year I'm doing individual in our division, and then I'm doing team in the Elite Pro if I make it.
Yeah, that is cool. I did that last year, individual,
How was
and
that?
then, it turned out to be pretty fun. I mean, the individual is where my focus was, and I had a good buddy of mine that I was just excited to go spend time with, and he and I, teamed up together, and we're different athletes, but we had a good time. I think we took 6 maybe. I wasn't really paying attention, to be honest. I was just happy to be moving still after the volume we had
For
taken
sure.
on in the individual, but it was pretty manageable. And it definitely, it wasn't like soul crushing the weekend given the combination of the two. So the qualifier is going on right now for Fittest of the Coast. And there have been 3 total workouts released. I actually did number 2 and number 3 this morning. Didn't go fantastic. I also did the first one, obviously. You're sitting way up on the leaderboard. I think you're in like third, maybe? Third? Yeah, yeah. Talk me through that one. That one obviously went pretty well for you.
That workout I did 3 times.
Jeez. Okay.
All 3 times I got exactly the same score to the calorie.
Oh,
All,
wow.
all
What are the
3 times.
chances?
It was like that was my threshold. I was talking to Sarah, who's my life coach and my CrossFit
Coach,
coach.
yeah, no doubt. I've seen
She's
her
like,
in
"Okay,
action.
at
She's
least you
intense. Yeah.
know this is your score."
Well, geez, 3 times. That's a workout that you don't really want to redo. I didn't redo it. Yeah, man, good
It's
for you.
it was I didn't mind when they released that workout. I didn't mind. I knew that I was going to redo it again before I even did it the first time, just because that's how I am. And I knew that I wasn't really going to be feeling the remnants of that for too long because it was only really 60 burpee box jump overs and only 60 step over. So it's nothing really that's going to put you in a place where you can't redo it if you got through the 3 rounds. So in my head, I was like, okay, I know I'm committed to redoing this workout at least one more time.
Yeah, you definitely had the right mindset. I actually wasn't going to do it. I wasn't going to do the qualifier at all and was kind of convinced to do it last minute. Coming out of the games, like, yeah, I'm saying yes to pizza. I'm saying yes to cookies. Like I'm doing all the things, all the things I had sacrificed leading up to the games. And I was like, all right. And so, like I didn't quite feel like I was in fighting shape, to say the least. Got a couple things going on that I'm trying to work through. Still, now I'm kind of kicking myself, like, now that I've seen the leaderboard, and I'm like, oh, God, that's not where I want to be.
Mhm.
I don't care what shape I'm in. That's not where I want to be. So I'm kicking myself a little bit, kind of wishing I'd have redone it. But um, yeah, number 2 and number 3, a little different. I assume 3 and 4 will kind of steadily progress in terms of the stimulus, and we'll see how it goes.
For sure. I saw your name on the leaderboard and I was like, that's not a Boonstra score on there. And so I was gonna text you or message you on Instagram and be like, hey, what's up with this score?
Yeah, well, you shouldn't have taken so long. I count on getting a little bit of grief. But yeah, that's the thing too. Like as a competitor, naturally, when you put up a score and you put your name behind something, you want to feel good about it. You want to be proud of it. And that's, unfortunately, you just don't feel great
That's the
about it.
mind that's the yeah.
Yeah. Typically that would have gotten me to do it again. And then but I was kind of like, I don't know. My mind's in a weird place. I would just, that's a bigger conversation. I'm kind of in a weird spot at the moment, but I'm looking forward to the Boulder Athlete Legends Championship in December. That's really kind of the one I'm most focused on. I've not done that one before. So given Boulder's involvement in it, and, I want to show up and represent Boulder in a positive way. So trying to take a little bit of a break after the games and get my mind right, get my body right, and peak at the right
You had
time.
a great performance at the games, man. I was chasing you all weekend at the games. You did great.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I was pretty happy. I mean, pretty happy overall. I had bigger aspirations, honestly, and, was right in it and had, I was in the top 3 there for most of the weekend,
Hmm.
and really had just a hard couple of workouts at the end and slipped down the leaderboard. And so while the overall finish of 4th, I'm happy about, and like,
Oh yeah.
I'm proud of it, no doubt. But there's also that piece of you as a competitor that's like, man, I had the podium in my grasp
Hmm.
and just let it go, slipped away. And that's going to haunt me for a little while. So that'll be my fuel.
That's that fuel for next year for sure.
Yeah, it totally is. And I know where I need to it's basically 2-a-days. I need to do 2-a-days. I never did. All the guys that are at the top there, I'm sure are doing 2-a-days, and I just need to build my engine. I think my skill set's there. I think my strength is there, but if I want to be where I want to be, I got to have an elite engine. And I would say that's not the case today.
Well, let's get there.
Let's get there, man. I know. More of these conversations help keep me
Yes, sir.
motivated. Before we get off Fittest to the Coast, like, as I said, that's where you and I first met. And I didn't know you at that time. And man, I just was like, who the heck is this Zach guy? He's absolutely smashing all these workouts. And so it was like me and you, and I was trying to keep up with you on these things, but you were so fast at so many things that if I'm being really honest, found myself kind of just playing, like shooting for second at time. Like we get through a workout and I'm like, dude, this guy, I can't catch him. Like I'm just shooting for second. So that's how I came to know you. And I was so impressed with your fitness and just the diversity of your skills. And man, they aligned to that programming really well. And you absolutely smashed that. So that was, that was a pretty awesome performance getting to witness firsthand.
Well, thanks. I'm blushing. So not many people can make me blush, but you done it. I love Fittest to the Coast. It's honestly right in my backyard. And a lot of these more local competitions, they kind of cater to the athletes that aren't really like heavy hitters as far as like a heavy barbell. And that's where I suffer a
Gotcha.
lot. Like I'm not going to be throwing up over 300 pounds for clean and jerks or like over 225, 235 for snatches. So like that's not my wheelhouse and where I kind of suffer. So the programming over the past 4 or 5 years, it allows me having more workouts. It allows me more time to kind of focus and hit home runs on the workouts that I can do, excel at, that aren't with a very heavy bar for like 1 rep max style workouts. I'm never gonna be top of the pack for a 1 rep max workouts because that's not the athlete that I am. And I'm not saying I shouldn't work on those things. I definitely did, but I'm never going to be that athlete that takes first place in those 1 RM style workouts. So I focus all of my intention on hitting home runs and everything else that I can do.
Yeah, that's a really, that's an interesting strategy for those that are listening. Like take note of that because I think the obvious instinct is to be like, oh, these are the things I'm not good at. Well, that's all I'm going to focus on to try to round myself out. I've definitely taken that approach for years of my training. So I'm also taking a bit of a note here, like where should my focus be on the areas that I'm already good at to ensure that like I have home run capabilities, or is it being as well rounded as I can? I'll have to think about that one, but that's a really interesting insight. And you do hit home runs. Like when you like, it's very clear that when there is a workout that aligns to your abilities, you're like, oh yeah, Zach has got this one, and it shows up, and your fitness and well-roundedness in those areas really comes through. Like I'm curious. I'm kind of now revisiting the games a little bit. I didn't track every single performance of yours at the games,
Right.
but how did that play out for you at the games? Because there was
There
definitely
were
some
so
heavy
there was
stuff.
like there were two events at the games, which coincidentally happened to be on day one. Am not going to win the 1 rep max at clean and jerk, which was 4 lifts, and the cumulative total of those 4 lifts, your score is going to be your top lift, and then the tiebreak I think was the combined sum of all your other 4 lifts. I cleared 25 for a clean and jerk, and then I went for 295, which I've never done before in my life. And in hindsight, looking back at how many guys did 285, I would have been better off doing 285 instead of 295. And it put me way down on the leaderboard. I was like 23rd or 24th place or something there. So that was not good. And then the run, long distance run, I mispaced that at the end. I waited too long to turn it on the run, which was that five. What was it? Five?
Okay.
No, it's 7K.
Yeah.
It's 7K run. I waited too long to kind of turn it on, and I placed like 15th on the run, and that was not good. Or I might have been later on. I might have been like 21st place on that. I forget what it
Yeah, I
was.
got 15th on the run.
Okay, yeah, so I was behind you. I think I got like maybe 21st place on that. So I started in a hole. I was like almost last after day one. But then the CrossFit stuff started to come in.
Okay.
And when you give me CrossFit workouts, which are, metcons involving multiple modalities, barbells, gymnastics, you give me that stuff and that's where I really excel. I'm not that single modality athlete, which is like just lifting or just running. And then I
Yeah.
creeped my way up from like last. I think I was like 28th place. I creeped my way all the way up to 16th place by the end of the weekend, and just missed that last cut day by one spot. I think it was like 3 points or something.
What was your so first off, I totally agree. That first day, now it played out differently for me. That run, man, was damn near killed me. Like honestly, like the medics came over to me.
Well,
I didn't really.
you passed me on the back half of that run, and I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah. Gosh, I could tell you stories about that run. But given my aspirations, what I wanted to accomplish overall in that weekend, I knew that, hey, if I put myself in a deep hole in this run, I'm going to have a really hard time digging out of it. And so my hope was to be top 10, and I was on pace to be probably right there, actually. And then, man, we came out so hot on that run. I don't know I think I was running like a 6:36 pace or something like that, which I'm not a runner. So that's a flying pace for me. And we held that for, I don't know how long, but I started to kind of drift and was somewhere in the middle of the pack. I didn't quite know where. And then at the end, when I'm like, okay, reserve, and then kick, I had no kick, zero kick. In fact, I should post at some point this video my wife got of me. I thought I was like sprinting at the end for like the last 50 yards. I was like shuffling at best. It was comical. I'm a little embarrassed to even put it out there, but
Yeah,
it
I
was
think we
like
all felt that way.
absolute just had nothing. And yeah, keeled over on the side and knew instantly like, ooh, that was not quite what I had hoped for. And watching people kind of pass you along the way, I was with you there. I saw some guys that I was like, I need to beat those guys. And just to see them, go
Mhm.
past me that was tough. That was tough. But I made up for it a little bit on the second workout, I guess. And
I mean, yeah,
yeah,
you were
first
top
day
of the
was
leader. I think you were top of the leaderboard for the clean and jerk, right? Or close to it.
yeah, I got second. I got second on that one. Yeah, which
That was impressive. I didn't know you could clean that much until we were in the warm up area and watching you warm up. I'm like, okay, he's putting up some serious numbers. I'm gonna stay in my lane.
yeah, man. Well, thanks. That was a good one. I felt good about that. It was actually a PR for me. So, you can't be upset with PRs. So something I want to get into with you, Zach, like, tell me if this is true because I'm only going off my observations and perspective, but you do a lot of competitions. It feels like every qualifier and competition you're in.
I
Is that
do
accurate?
try to do a lot of qualifiers because I feel like the qualifiers put me out of my comfort zone, and it gives me an opportunity to put numbers up against other athletes that are out of my bubble. Because for the most part, I'm working out at my gym amongst my community who I love my community, but there aren't as many competitive athletes there to compare myself against to. And I don't want to get into trouble where I'm like thinking you're a top performer amongst your peers, but there's a whole sea of athletes out there who you don't see on the day to day. And it gives me the opportunity to, even if I'm not going to do the competition, at least to be competitive and see numbers and see where other people are at. And then it gives me ability to rank myself and be like, okay, I need to dial in more here. I need to dial in more here because these are what my peers who I would see in a competition are doing.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I think, as I've reflected on where can I improve, I think this is one of the things, that I've identified as like, I need to do more competitions. I need more check-ins to do exactly what you just said. It's really, especially now that I know some of these athletes and I'm like, I know that's a legit athlete. Okay, Zach, look, if I can be somewhere near Zach on the leaderboard, I feel good about my performance. Chicho, Rudy, like, okay, now I know some guys. There's a plenty of guys in the boulder athlete community that are incredibly competitive in our age group. And so all of these guys help push me. And to your point, it is a really good gauge. I'm like, where's my fitness at right now relative to guys that I have a lot of respect for in the community?
hmm For sure. I also think being a head coach and an owner of my CrossFit gym, the community kind of revolves around that and they can kind of harness it a little bit knowing that feel like it's a respect thing as well, like hey, your head coach performs regularly and he's the one who's also writing all the programming for us, and when they see hey, he's following our community's programming and he's putting up these kind of numbers, it kind of gives validity to the programming that they're doing on the daily, and they can kind of trust that they're going to get the best workouts on the daily coming through the door, and they're like, okay, well, I mean, he's doing them and he's doing this and he made it to the games. This is what I need to be doing as well. Granted, we tailor stuff for the community, but I'm only doing what I give to my community. And I kind of think the competitions it give that kind of
Yeah.
stamp of approval there.
That's very accurate and well said. And I totally agree with that. And it's strategic, honestly, but it's also sincere. It's authentic to you as a competitor. You want to do these competitions, but you're right. The side benefit is people go, gosh, the programming that Zach does clearly works. Look at all the proof. Look how successful he is in the community. Look where he finishes. Gosh, he's going to the games. He's winning these big comps. Yeah, there is a real proof point to that. And it gives a ton of credibility to you as an athlete, to the programming, to the gym. Yeah, I think that's great. And because you can imagine the flip side, if like you never competed and you didn't do any competitions and, people were like, yeah, Zach's a nice guy. Seems like a great coach. But, you know, I think about him differently because he doesn't compete and because I don't see him and how he stacks up against others. Naturally, it gives you a huge boost to do all that you do and perform as well that you do. So yeah, that's cool and a strategic move for sure. And it's similar like with Jason. Like Jason does the program and
Yeah,
Jason's out, winning championships consecutively at the games year after year after year. And so that was a huge thing for me. I'm like, dude, if this guy's doing it, certainly it's good enough for me.
100%. I was just about to say that. And I also think another part of this is that taking part in competitions, whether they're local or national or global with the games, it's part of the CrossFit methodology and doing CrossFit competitions because it brings the community together. And like, I wouldn't have met you. I wouldn't have met Jason. I wouldn't have met Aaron or Luke or all the other guys that are part of Boulder without doing these competitions. And I think that's what makes CrossFit great is that it kind of brings us all together in sport, and that's how the games trickles back to the community aspect of like what we're doing right now. And I think it's important for people to participate outside of their gym in these local competitions. They don't have to be CrossFit games, but the local stuff where it gets them outside their comfort zone and they meet new people and they meet people from outside of their little bubble of their gym. And I think it's important.
Yeah, I agree totally with that. And like I mean, I think you have special awareness of the community given you're a gym owner and you've created a community from scratch out in New Jersey and then been adopted a community and rebuilt a new community. Like your just awareness of what it takes to build community and the power of community and the different tactics that help fuel and energize a community. I think, yeah, I can see where that's top of mind for you. And why you're good at it. Yeah, buddy. Also, something I want to get into because you compete so often. I'm asking this a little bit selfishly because I'm kind of trying to navigate this myself and I'm not crushing it at the moment. Is because you compete so much, like how do you navigate your mindset and staying motivated, ultimately to continue to like bring your best effort to every single competition, every qualifier? I mean, speaking for myself, like having done the games, I'm like, okay, I kind of want a break. I'm looking for a little bit of not a period of time where I stop training, but I need a little bit of like psychological reprieve where I can dial some of the intensity back a little bit before I build back into something else. The frequency with which you train, man, it feels like you're always on. How do you navigate that?
So I definitely don't think that I'm always on. I definitely took a little bit of a break after the games, but my motivation to keep going was that I didn't perform as well as I wanted to perform at the games. So that kind of fed into my, okay, what's the next competition? So it's always in the back of my mind. I've always been a competitor. I played college soccer, semi-pro soccer. So I've always had that competitive mindset in there where I need to perform, I need to win, or I want to win, or it just kind of feeds me. And Hera keeps me honest too all the time. She's like, "Hey, listen, there's guys out there that if you slack off, they're going to take that from you." And she lets me know, and it's something within me, and not everybody has it, or not everybody has the motivation to do that, and there's nothing wrong with that, but like that's my internal motivation is like, hey, I want to do well at Fittest to the Coast. I have a CrossFit Crash coming up next weekend with the big dogs up there, but that's a motivation too because I'm going to be comparing myself against a lot of younger athletes and the premier top athletes that are just on that games bubble at CrossFit Crash. So a lot of that is test of my fitness, which I'm not expected to win that, but I want to put forth my best effort in a lot of things that are outside of my comfort zone, which I don't see at a lot of masters competitions. So like that's motivating me to keep training hard.
Yeah, that I can, I mean, that makes sense. It's super logical. It's still difficult to execute. And so like I give you a bunch of credit for the way that you have navigated it. Yeah, coming out of the games, if you're disappointed with your performance, I would totally like I was there last year. That was my experience in 2024 coming out going like, hey, one, I'm happy that I went and that was a cool experience and it checks a big bucket list item for me. But I also walked away going, gosh, I got a lot more to give there. I know I can do better. And I'd be lying if I said that the moment the games ended last year, I didn't think about the games almost every day in training, knowing that, hey, am I stacking wins? Am I putting brick over brick here to make myself better for the following year? So that's a powerful motivator for sure. Yeah, as I said earlier, like one of my takeaways is I got to do more competitions. I got to do more check-ins and
Yeah.
just keep track of my own fitness with guys like you and other guys that I know have the capacity to win events and go to the games and do really well.
Even if it's not, even if you're committed to doing the qualifier and you have no intention of doing like the in person, I still think the qualifiers are worth it. Like, I know Fittest to the Coast is like you have to travel 3,000 miles because you're in Washington. So like that's a big commitment trying to do that. But I still think the online qualifier stuff would be helpful in your daily training to do, even if you can't make it here.
Yeah, I think you're right. I totally think you're right. So I think I'm like I'm trying to I'm going to peak at the wrong time, obviously, for the Fittest of the Coast, but I'm kind of trying to get my stuff together again as we go through these. We'll see how it finishes. It would be cool to go back to Fittest of the Coast, just given how cool the competition is, the people that'll be there, the vibe. Like it was just such an awesome experience. It would be cool to go back, but my motive is clear and my focus is clear on Legends. Which have you done Legends before? You did the qualifier because you were way up there on the leaderboard.
I did the qualifier. I'm actually qualified to go, but I'm not going this year. I think I took third or
I
something.
believe you did. Yeah.
I forget what it was, but I can't go because I'm doing Crash now, and then we have other personal commitments with the gym, and it's a lot of time away, which we can't with the kids and the gym. It's just too much.
Got it. And you also did the MFC qualifier. I
I
assume you're
did,
not
yeah,
doing MFC given we're talking.
yeah. No, no, I'm not. They sent me an invite because I won it last year. So I'm not going back this year. Obviously,
Okay.
but
I
would
didn't
be
know you
there.
won it last year. That's cool. That's super cool. Okay. I've not done MFC. We've got Boulder has 50 plus athletes competing there this weekend. So I'm trying to keep tabs on
Yeah,
how things are going. We've got, some close buddies that are doing it and Yeah, that I've never done it, but I hear it's a great comp. It certainly looks cool, and I'll be eager to hear how everybody does.
Totally. It was fun. The programming was fun. Programming this year looks fun. I did a bunch of the workouts that they're doing at the finals once they release them. I always put them up on my YouTube channel. I do all these competitions, workouts, and then I put them on my channel just for shits and
Just
giggles.
to be like, check this out.
Yeah, partially that.
Yeah, wow, that's awesome, man. Zach, it's been good to hang out, buddy. I really appreciate you making time for this. I hope, our audience has enjoyed this and obviously the opportunity to get to know you a little bit. And you're not from within the Boulder athlete community, so you're a special guest. And this is something I want to do more of because there's just so many good athletes and good people, good humans in the CrossFit community. And I think your kind of position in the CrossFit community, just as a great competitor, helps draw some eyes to Boulder athlete. And this podcast, which I'm grateful for, and I'm hopeful that folks appreciate your story and find inspiration in it as well.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. And I'm a big advocate of the Boulder community and all the Boulder athletes. I feel like what Jason's put together and what you guys are doing is awesome. And it's really a quality group of guys and gals. I've become really close with a lot of you guys because of Boulder athletes. So I'm like a big supporter of what you guys are doing. And anybody that watches this, like, you have my stamp of approval for Boulder athlete, even though I'm not part of it, but I have my own community that I need to support. And that is purely the only reason I'm not a Boulder athlete, but you guys you're doing it right.
Oh man, I appreciate that sincerely. Well, dude, happy Friday. I hope you can go soak up some time and enjoy your weekend, dude.
Yes, sir. And I'll be looking for you on that leaderboard for workouts 2 and 3 for Fittest of the Coast.
Yeah, buddy, I got work to do.
You and me both.
Team, thanks for checking out the Boulder Athlete Podcast. We are so grateful that you did. Wherever you're watching or listening, please like and subscribe so we can keep bringing you more stories from this great community.